Without any further ado, Stefan Verstappen now joins us, folks. The website is chinastrategies.com, and it is loaded full of information, articles, his own artwork, books, survival library. Maybe if we have time, maybe we could get into the prepping side of things. We briefly got into that last time. And I am of the mindset, Stefan, as we're kind of looking at it in our own kind of like traditional Catholic community, that I think this could be the most eventful fall when we look back on it in human history for people who get through it. I really think this is going to be a very ugly fall, setting up for economic collapse, which could happen September or October. We could be talking about further race wars, civil unrest all across the globe. Then we have geopolitical things to consider, World War III looming, insane earth changes. Ooh, this is going to be a doozy. But as Eagles, we're excited for the storm. Stefan, thank you for joining us. Where would you like to begin?
I don't know, Eric.
Where do we get from there, right?
We are facing, the full onslaught of Satan and Armageddon and the apocalypse. And, the four horsemen of the apocalypse is an interesting analogy because that's always what happens at the end of civilizations. There are four major events that always occur at the same time. First one is pestilence, right? Mm-hmm. The second one is starvation. The third one is war. And then the fourth one, of course, is just death, which is, I don't know why they had to repeat themselves. The first three already covered it. So pestilence, starvation, and war. So that's what we're facing. We've already got the pestilence with this phony pandemic, which is used as an excuse to shut down the entire world. It's not, I hear these people saying, oh, it's the Democrats doing that because they want to take down Trump. Well, okay. Then why are the French doing it? They've already got socialists in power.
Right, exactly.
Why are the Dutch doing it? Why are the Swedes doing it? Why is England doing it? Why is Australia and New Zealand and Canada? We've got we already have a communist party in charge. Why would we, put on a fake pandemic to take them down? Well, it's not to take down Trump, and it's not to, it's not political in the sense that left is going to win at the end of this. What it is a takedown of freedom of Western civilization, full scale. There's, when this happened in Russia in 1918, 1919, at least they had somewhere they could escape to. There were other countries that were free. When this comes down, there's nowhere for us to escape to, Eric. There's nowhere to run to. You can't go to Mexico's locked down. The border's locked down. Here in Canada.
Yeah, Canada, yeah, too. Yeah.
Here in Canada, I keep thinking, I want to get to Texas. I want to get to Texas or South Dakota, some Wild West state where they still have a few freedoms left. Huh? But I can't get across the border. No. They've extended the lockdown. So the point that I wanted to talk about today is, listen, there is nowhere to run to. There's no retreat. We are facing the full onslaught. Now we're facing this phony pestilence, but very soon you're going to see mass starvation. Yeah, and there's going to be, little mini race wars. I predict there's going to be no-go zones throughout the United States, just like they have in Sweden. Whole cities where law-abiding citizens would never dare to tread, because they'll be ruled by criminal gangs. We had a taste of that with that Chaz there in Seattle. I mean, typical. I mean, within, an hour of them establishing this, there's already some black guy running around calling himself a warlord. Well, right?
It's like Mad Max times, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, we got our own zone. Okay, let's all go Mad Max. Yay! Or Lord of the Flies, or, Welcome to Africa, where every, square block is controlled by a violent warlord that, going around murdering everybody. So that's, we'll have that. Yes, that'll be fun, for anybody that's living close to an urban area and anybody that's in the middle of the joy of diversity is going to find themselves, under martial law by some petty local tyrant warlord. I mean, they're defunding the police already,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we have seen with our own eyes. Let's not beat around the bush. We've seen with our own eyes, the government is on the side of the terrorists. I mean, every one of these liberal states and cities told the police to stand down. So, look, the police are not on our side. The government is not on our side. It's obvious that they support these, so-called protesters and the so-called movement, but we know it has nothing to do with blacks or lives or anything other than it's got everything to do with being a communist agenda, So yeah. They're on the side of the communists. Let's not, so if you think, oh my God, there's communists outside my door, and like we've seen how many hundreds of videos already, oh, the communists are here. Hi guys. Oh, wait a minute. And then they call the police, or like that woman trapped in the car with her small kid, and these protesters were climbing all over. And she calls the police, and they said, well, it's sanctioned by the police department. We can't do anything about it. So it's sanctioned. So meaning, the rioting and the looting and all that, that's sanctioned by your own government. They approve. They have the seal of approval. And if you try to defend yourself, well, suddenly there'll be a lot of cops to beat you down. So listen, folks, this is how it goes. Now, that is not what's going to bring us down. As annoying as all these little riots and no-go zones, and there's going to be a dozen, warlords. It's like, but it's already happened. I mean, you think, no, it can't be true. If I were to, tell my past self this 10 years ago, I would go, oh, okay, come on. I like science fiction, but even that is too unbelievable. No, it's already happened. Already happened. The warlord Raz.
Yeah, think about it too. I mean, Bloods versus Crips. When I do media appearances, I've always thrown this out comically, Stefan. I mean, take a look at the divisions that are happening now. Instead of Bloods and Crips, now we got masks versus no masks. How about kneelers versus no kneelers? Oh, you don't kneel? You're on the bad team or whatnot. I mean, they're trying to divide us on every level. So the question I have for you in regards to the bigger picture is, destabilization wise, is there, and I think you and I agree, this is pre-planned. Like, they didn't just come up with this yesterday. I mean, this has long been a plan to bring down the West. Does the UN roll in? What is it? Is it China that rolls in? Is it Russia? I mean, how do you see this playing out? Get the police to war against the peoples. Everything is chaotic. Here comes the savior, UN onto the scene. Is that a plausible thesis, do you think?
Well, I've already done a couple of podcasts where I tell the story about how it will go down. And it's, just my predictions for how these things will play out. And so far, most of it's playing out according to the way I predicted it. I think China is a big threat. What I think will happen is, okay, so we're going to get these riots and mini race wars and semi-balkanization. But now they're going to come back with the pandemic again. All right. Yes. They're going to come back with it.
Yes.
They're already telegraphing this, in combat, when your opponent, drops his left every time he's about to hit you with a right.
Yes.
Right. So they're telegraphing already, like they're feverishly. I'm getting it all the time from every source of media here in Canada. The second wave. It's coming back. Get ready. What will we do? We'll have to get tougher. Okay, all right. We already know what they're going to do. But my guess is this first wave has been completely phony. My guess is the second wave is going to be real. Now,
yes, I agree.
I'm not sure it's going to be a virus, because I don't even sure there is such a thing as a virus, but it might be anthrax. How would people know? Like, they're just going to. They've experimented with this anthrax for hundreds of years. They can drop it out of the sky. They can slip it into the water supply. Suddenly, everybody's got anthrax, and now you're going to see a real pandemic. But of course, it's not a viral pandemic; it's a bacteriological pandemic. But who's going to know? Are you going to know if your neighbor dropped dead from COVID or from anthrax? You won't know. And of course, they already control the medical terminology, the medical information system, so that you're never going to find out. But anyways, people will start really dying.
Yeah, that's actually in Catholic prophecy. This third secret of Fatima, which has never been revealed for obvious reason, because it kind of exposes the Marxist takeover of the Vatican. Again, I always have to identify myself as a traditional Catholic, when in reality we're just real Catholics, and the Catholic Church has been taken over by people who are anything but Catholic, I guess you could put it. As a part of the third secret, it was foretold that whole nations would be wiped out overnight. I don't know what it is. I brought on Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. She's like a leading anti-vaxxer. She thinks it might be Ebola. She says, keep your eye on Ebola still. I think it might be bird flu still, just based upon some predictive programming that I've seen. As you have said, they already telegraphed this stuff in movies, entertainment industry, video games. I've seen bird flu come up quite a few times. I do want to throw this out to you, Stefan, to pick up on this, because basically the title of this podcast is going to be "We Are at War. We Must Become Warriors." This is not for the faint of heart, in my humble opinion, that Jesus warned. People who are faint of heart, I think it was in Matthew 24 where he's talked about that people are going to die of fright over basically everything that's going to be happening at once, including the massive earth changes coming. But I've always argued this. There's a long-awaited Catholic prophecy called the 3 days of darkness, in which all of hell is unleashed. Literally every devil. Okay, so there's certain things you have to do in accordance with this Catholic prophecy, like you got to be inside, put all the blinds down or whatnot, because every devil's literally going to be let loose, banging on doors, trying to get you to come outside or whatnot. I suggest to people, in accordance with Apocalypse 9, and you can all read scripture on this, St. Jerome comments on these locusts which come out from the abyss, and he identifies them as devils or demons which come out in the Antichrist time. The reason why I bring that up is because I think they're telegraphing in the mainstream media, Stefan, the whole UFO agenda, which from our perspective are these demons of the air or devils. So what I'm saying, the short and nut and bolts of this, Stefan, I think communism might be the least of our concerns. We've got literally demons that we're probably going to have to deal with. And I'm saying that, of course, communism is not to be undermined, but literally hell itself. So if you don't have the warrior mindset, you're done for, folks. I'm sorry. You got to get with the program. Go ahead, Stefan.
Well, that's absolutely true. I've studied the great swordsmen of Japan, and there's a letter between one of the famous Zen monks there, Takuan Soho, and Yagyu Munenori, who was like the head of the greatest sword school in Japan during the medieval Edo period. And he says, what is it that makes the greatest swordsman? And he replied that in a battle between opponents where all things are equal, the warrior that has the greatest spirit will win.
Wow.
So, we are at war. Look, our government is at war with us. Our institutions are at war with us. Our entertainment, our media, everything. We are being attacked on all levels, chemically, psychologically, physiologically, through radio frequencies. We're being attacked constantly. People are dying by the thousands already. The suicides, the drug overdoses. I mean, we are taking heavy casualties. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: we don't know we're at war. We don't know.
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad. This is because the enemy we are up against, the father of lies, doesn't have the honor and dignity to array his forces and declare war on us. No, they do it from behind, from the backstabbing, the subversion. And so we don't know we're at war, but we are taking heavy casualties, the breakup of families, the kids being permanently damaged through vaccines, the educational system. So look, we're at war. We got to fight back. But here's what I noticed, because I'm also a prepper, as you know, we talked about that before. Yes. Here's the thing with where I found a problem with the prepping, and that is, it's great if you have some supplies and all that. It's essential now. It's essential. But if you don't have the will to survive, it doesn't matter if you've got 2 years worth of food. You're just going to hang yourself, or you're going to make some stupid mistake and get your place raided by the police or looters, or you'll lose the will to live and you'll die from a disease. So essential to surviving what's coming is to become a warrior. Now the problem is our educational system, and well, let's face it, the whole of society. If you haven't noticed, if you're a man, that you are the number one enemy in this society, right? Masculine, powerful alpha males that can get the job done, that aren't afraid, they are demonized in our society. And they are feared because, of course, they fear masculine men because us, are the only thing that can stop them. The women aren't going to make this battle. All the women in your family, in your life, count them out. They can't handle this. They can't handle it. Maybe they can clean and run supplies and do some cooking, but they cannot fight this battle. It has to be us men. But we've been so attacked, so denigrated, so emasculated. Men don't know how to be men anymore. So I wrote the book, The Way of the Warrior, which is based on my 35 years experience as a martial arts instructor, my travels through China and East Asia, and of course my philosophy, which is not a religious philosophy, but rather the philosophy of a Stoic. So there is no supernatural philosophy involved. It's merely the ability to improve your senses and your mind and your body and your ability to rational thinking and critical thinking, and training yourself to see through deception and to be strong and don't back down, because that's what will make you a warrior, and that's what will help you to survive what's coming.
Now, in regards, to becoming a warrior in our own little lives, if you will, and let me put it to you this: is it something that's in us, or is it something that can be learned, like going through a progression of, like say, like you say you teach martial arts. So do you find like some people who come to you like after like maybe their 12th, visit or 12th, session or whatever, you kind of look at them and like, this isn't for you. It's just not in you type of thing. If you get what I'm saying with that, is it in us? Is it learned? What is it?
Oh, well, I can tell in the first 10 minutes.
Like, just go home, go back home. Don't worry about it.
But no, but that's not the thing though. Like depends on, like, for my style is kung fu. It's very complex physically, the postures, the movements, the placement of the weight and the balance and all that. It's all very finicky, the stuff, You need to have a certain innate ability that would, it's the same innate ability that would make you a good dancer, would make you a good athlete, that would make you a good, tennis player, and that's great to have so that you become like a really good kung fu master or a really good dancer. But you can take some, but it's not necessary to becoming a warrior. I'll give you an example. I had a boy come to my class, Jason, and he came from Hungarian background. And boy, do they love to eat grease. I love grease too, pork bellies and fry. Everything is deep fried and double fried, And well, he was a chubby kid. He was overweight. He was, obese, and he had been bullied at school. Fat boy. You know how it goes. I was fat as a kid too, so I remember. And he was really withdrawn and introverted. He's been beaten down because he's too fat. And he was about 12 years old. He comes to my class, and my approach has always been to teach people what they can learn, what's good for them, not some arbitrary standard that everybody has to meet. So anyway, so if everybody in the class did 10 push-ups and Jason did 3, I would say, good for you, Jason. Because the effort it took for out of shape.
The average person, yeah.
Yeah, the average person to do 3 push-ups was the same effort it would take for a guy that's been doing it for 6 months already to do 10, right? So everybody's putting in the effort. Well, a couple of months later, the parents come to me and they say, we want to thank you so much. Jason has improved in school and he's losing weight and he's so happy. I said, well, why am I responsible? She said, out of all the gym teachers and schools and everything we've ever gone to, you never told him he was fat. True. Well, I already know. Everybody already tells him he's fat. He doesn't need to hear it from me. And so Fast forward 10 years, he's a personal trainer.
Cool. Awesome.
The guy's cut, So you can't always tell. So you get some chubby fat kid in there. He's all withdrawn and, he's very shy. But look, you give him a chance. You treat him with the same respect and dignity as you treat everybody else. And you just encourage them. And look what can happen. The guy's cut. He's handsome, he's outgoing, complete opposite of little fat Jason. So everybody can learn, okay? Everybody can train this. Even if it doesn't seem like you have a natural predisposition or some natural genetic talent for it, you can still improve hugely, hugely. And everybody can be a warrior. I've taught blind people that couldn't see to fight with a stick. So who's the least likely to be a warrior? Oh, a middle-aged blind woman. But within 4 months, I had her fighting, stick fighting.
Wow.
I've taught guys that in wheelchairs to be, okay, they can't run around and kick, but they can still fight. You can still be a warrior. So it's for everybody, Eric. Everybody can do it. And what? Never mind. You can do it. You have to do it. You have to do it. Don't put it off. You got to get tough now. This is it. We're up against it. You got to be prepared for it. Yeah. And everybody can do it.
Yeah. Let's talk about on the kind of like on the mind side of things. We're obviously in an information war here. You turn on the mainstream media. I mean, I'm not saying to do it. I do it just to see, what they're saying. Not that I believe it or whatnot, but it's obviously a war in our mind. COVID-19. Blacks versus whites. Elections coming up. It's like, how much of this stuff can you take? The mental side of this, I would think, is there like a certain routine that you go into, like when you're teaching, or if you knew you were going into a fight or whatnot? Again, we're going to bring Pat Miletich on Monday. I kind of want to ask him the same thing. Like, what is the mindset? I know, being a basketball player, I was pretty decent. I could have probably played professionally in Europe. I mean, I would have a certain routine before I would go and play basketball. What was the routine for you, and how does that parlay over into the greater war that we're in?
You mean what's my warm-up routine for going into a...
Yeah, I mean, but just like everything, I mean, including the mindset too. Like, do you go through like a sort of rubrics, if you will, like in your mind of like a progression as you get closer and closer to whatever it is, whether it's an event or teaching or whatnot? I'm just curious, as to how you tick as a person.
No, I don't really do any of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know all the little... I've read about them, and I've seen other guys use that sort of stuff. They have all these, little mini rituals to get them hyped up for stuff. But the way I look at it is, and I'm going to be quoting Musashi on this too, who was a Japanese swordsman. You're always ready. If you need to give yourself this little pep talk before you're able to do something, chances are things are going to happen too fast, and you won't have time for your little pep talk, right? But
so more like a blank slate. I guess you kind of just go into it with a blank slate. I guess I thought like more in terms of like strategy, maybe even. You know what I mean? Like knowing your opponent. Like, okay, like how am I gonna break this guy down? If he does A, I'll do B. Or you just kind of walk into it like with a blank mindset.
No, you can't pre-plan this stuff. It happens too fast and it's too variable, and it happens all in real time. So pre-planning what you're going to do doesn't work. A close friend of mine is a teacher at the police academy. He used to be the head of the SWAT team here in Toronto. And we trained together. He's a Hapkido black belt, 3rd, 4th degree, something like that. We train together a lot. And we have a lot in common, especially our fighting strategy. And he says, I get this question all the time at the academy that, teacher, what would you do if a guy came at you with a knife in his left hand and a pistol in his right hand? And he asked me, he said, how would you answer that question? I said, my answer is, I don't know what I would do. Mm-hmm. I'll see when it happens. You can't pre-plan this, because if you pre-plan it, I'm going to explain this a little bit better, but if you pre-plan it, you fix your mind on a narrow path. The most important thing during combat is to be fluid and flexible and to be able to react instantly to changing circumstances.
Yeah, I think Bruce Lee, didn't Bruce Lee say something similar like that, using an analogy of the water? I think like water. I think he used. And then Mike Tyson also had that. I think it was Mike Tyson. Didn't he have that quote? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face or something like that.
You get punched in the nose. Yeah, I think. Yeah, everybody attributed that to Mike Tyson, but I think somebody else said it. But anyways, yeah, that's it. But here's the thing. There is some truth to this idea, and it's what the Stoics call negative imagination. And I do that all the time. And that is, I think about what's the worst thing that can happen in this situation, today at work, or today driving to the office, or coming up with the end of the Western civilization. What's the worst thing that can happen? And you plan what you would do. Well, if I lost my job, I would become self-employed, and if I couldn't get to the grocery store, I could do a little bit of hunting, and you plan ahead of time, and they call it negative imagination, which goes opposite to all the new age floofy stuff, where think positive, everything will be good, which is really a fool's approach. But the Stoics, going all the way to Marcus Aurelius and the great philosophers of ancient Rome, is to think about what could go wrong, make your plan for how to deal with it, and then forget about it. You see, you're already prepared, so you won't be shocked if something goes wrong. Now, your counter plan may not be the correct plan for that situation, but that doesn't matter because you won't be shocked by it. You see, if you are surprised by something, that shuts down your ability to think. So by having a plan, you're not surprised. Even if, your plan isn't going to work out or wouldn't fit the situation, it doesn't matter. It's a psychological advantage you have in that you are no longer taken off guard. You're no longer in a situation where, holy, what am I going to do now? That never happens to a warrior. A warrior is never in a situation of, oh my God, what am I going to do now? That is not a warrior. A warrior's already made 4 plans for what I'm going to do now. He made them last week, and so now he just has to choose which of those 4 plans is most appropriate to what just happened.
Now, in regards to just in general, or just war in general, I'll be honest with you. I bought some books in recent times more on the topic. Just in general, one of the areas that I've been looking into is guerrilla warfare. Do you have any comment on that? Whether it's pro, negative, again, speak freely. When we're fighting the New World Order or communism, it doesn't seem like we're going to have the luxury of like lining up like they did back in American Revolution. It's 100 of us, we see 1,000 of them across the other side. I don't think that's how the warfare is going to go. That's like not modern day warfare. But what's your kind of take on guerrilla warfare? Will it be like more militia types, that will have to kind of come together at the community level? Maybe it'll be guerrilla warfare. What's your take on that? Again, speak freely. Pro, cons, whatever.
Well, every strategist understands that if you are fighting overwhelming odds, your only alternative is to employ guerrilla tactics. And we are fighting overwhelming odds. I mean, we are fighting our own governments, our own police force, our own military, our own sheriffs, our own media, our own, communication system. I mean, we are fighting everybody. So it's overwhelming. We are overwhelmed. We are outnumbered. And our only alternative, our only strategy is guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, that's where I was going. That's why I got all these books on it in recent time. Again, wow, Stefan, powerful podcast. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time. I would definitely like to have you back on next month, sir. If you are interested, we could talk off air here briefly. But before we let you go, some parting words. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, it doesn't just have to be what we're talking about today, but whatever you want to promote in our what we call shameless self-promotion time. We'd like to hand that to you now. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Okay, well, my biggest promotion for the last 6 months is my survival library. I have been collecting PDF files for the last 20 years, and I started collecting them way back in the day before the internet was censored. So I got a few PDF files you can't find anymore. But I've been collecting them on the subject of survival and dividing them up into like 5 categories of, self-defense, nutrition, shelter, medicine, communications, and, alternative forms of energy. And so I have now accumulated over 280 manuals, books, instruction forms on how to do just about anything to survive, everything from gardening and farming and animal husbandry to fishing and hunting and building shelters to what you talked about. I've got a bunch of books on guerrilla warfare, escape and evade tactics, and I'm offering those for free if you download my package, which includes all of my books. So you get all my books, Art of Urban Survival, The Way of the Warrior, 36 Strategies. And so you order them as a PDF, and I send you to a website, and then you can download all 280 plus books. Wow. Now, what I recommend is everybody store them on a flash drive, and make sure you have a tablet or a Kindle reader or something like that. Since it's PDF, it'll play on everything, okay? You'll be able to open it up with every application. And just find some way that in case the power goes down, you can recharge the battery on your phone or your tablet or your Kindle reader, and then you have access to all the information you'll need to survive what's coming.
Yeah, good stuff, Stefan. We appreciate your time. Hang off air here. We'll see if we get something set up for next month if you're free. Folks, thank you all for tuning in to Tradcat Night special guest exclusive podcast for this July the 10th, 2020. Until next time, stay safe and God bless.